Greetings to everyone out there in the No DQ galaxy. Welcome to No DQ Live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. A very long SummerSlam 2018 has just concluded. I must warn you guys, this will be a long review video. Thank you to everyone watching live, and if you're not able to watch the whole thing, totally understandable. This will be available on demand, and I'm sure many of you will watch it on demand as well. Now, before we get to the review, I have to say, Vince McMahon, for those of you that say Vince is out of touch and he doesn't know what he's doing, Vince McMahon proved tonight with the end of this pay-per-view that he is a genius of epic proportions. And I will talk about it. I will talk about the end of this show. Oh, believe me, I will. Nelson with a $2 super chat donation. What's up, Aaron? Just tired, Nelson. It's been a long night. Tom McCarthy with a $2 super chat donation says hi. By the way, guys, if you want to send a super chat donation, please try to stick to whatever topic I'm on, whatever match I'm on, and not go all over the place. I will read off your comment, but if it's something not related to what I'm talking about, I'm just going to read the comment and move on. So if you want me to actually talk about your comment, please stick to whatever subject or match I'm on. Got a $2 super chat donation from DJ Whitey. Thank you for that. No comment, but thank you for the super chat. All right. So we got a lot to talk about here. And Baystash Ketchum with a $2 super chat donation says, Aaron, you better not give this show a D, LOL. I already have my letter grade pretty much figured out in my head, but you guys are going to have to wait till the end of the video. I have to have a hook to keep you guys watching. All right, so SummerSlam kicked off with a 2-hour kickoff, you know, because SummerSlam is the biggest party of the summer, and you have to do a long kickoff for the biggest party of the summer. The first match was the mixed tag. Rusev and Lana against Andrade, Cien Almas, and Zelina Vega. Interesting. So we had Rusev go from the WWE title match at Extreme Rules to being on the first kickoff match of SummerSlam when half the building was still empty. Sucks to be Rusev, and even worse, him and Lana lost. Now, backstage before the match began, Aiden English approached them backstage and said he had a song. But Rusev and Zelina did not, or excuse me, Rusev and Lana did not want to hear the song. Which is a shame, because Aiden English is awesome, and Aiden singing always bumps up the show for me. I would give SmackDown a higher rating just for the singing, and maybe even the pay-per-view an extra rating just for the singing. That's how much I love Aiden English. Andres Morales with a $2 super chat donation. 4 squash matches and 2 DQs. Your thoughts? Interesting show tonight. That's all I'm going to say about that comment until I actually get to those matches, so stay tuned for that. We had no Aiden English coming out. I figured Almas and Vega would win this, maybe with some outside interference. Maybe English would either inadvertently cost Rusev and Lana again, or maybe even turn against Rusev and Lana and help Almas and Vega win and jump sides. Maybe that'll still happen. Maybe Aiden English will feel unappreciated and he'll become part of the Almas and Vega faction. That would be an interesting twist. But nothing in this match. Vega rolled up Lana when Almas was getting on the apron, distracting Lana, and that's what led to Almas and Vega picking up the win. So Vega pinned Lana with a roll-up, and she did get her feet on the ropes, even though she was struggling to do so. She still managed to do it. It was sloppy. The match was just there, kind of sloppy when Lana and Vega were in there. But like I've said before, Lana, she has the charisma, and I think that really makes up for her lack of experience in the ring. She just has that personality that everybody likes, and I think people tend to forgive her for not really being that polished in the ring at this point. This was just okay. I mean, not much to it. No real storyline development unless this match in English not being allowed to come out and do the song is going to lead to something with English feeling resented. So we'll see where this goes. Maybe there was something to this. We'll have to wait and see. Next up, we had Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak in the second kickoff match. And I thought it was an okay match. I mean, I saw some people giving it a lot of praise. I've seen way better cruiserweight matches. I thought this one was about as standard as you can get. They were on the kickoff, and to me, it was just your average cruiserweight match, which is fine. It was good, but I did not think it was anything out of the ordinary. I will not remember anything that happened in this match tomorrow. And as it is, I barely remember anything that they did in this match. It was just your average cruiserweight match. And the finishing sequence was the two of them exchanging roll-ups, trying to pin each other, and eventually Alexander got the win with his roll-up. So for those of you keeping score at home, that's 2 roll-up finishes in a row on the kickoff. Next up, we had Spirit Squad 2.0 defending the tag team titles against the Revival. Again, just your standard match, not a whole lot to it. Revival hit the Shatter Machine on Curtis Axel right off the bat, and Axel was incapacitated for part of the match. We had Revival dominating them for most of the match. Curtis Axel got the hot tag, came back in. Dawson rolled up Axel, but Bo Dallas accidentally fell into them, which caused the momentum to reverse, and Axel pinned Dawson with a roll-up. So yes, 3 matches in a row. All 3 kickoff matches had fruit roll-up finishes. We might as well call this the roll-up kickoff of SummerSlam. B Team retains the tag team titles, but now I guess Revival can argue for another match since basically the B Team lucked into a victory here. Again, wasn't really blown away by it. It was just your average kickoff match and nothing too noteworthy. It would have been nice to see a title change, but yeah. Jordan Thomas with a $2 super chat donation. Hashtag not my champ. BS finish. Braun cashed in. 1 match left. I'll get to that later. Thank you for the super chat. All right, so now on to the main card. Dolph Ziggler defending the Intercontinental Championship. Dolph record scratch Ziggler against, wow, I wrote Ambrose on here. Okay, I totally screwed this up. I need to edit that. I'm surprised nobody's called me out on it yet. Maybe they did. Let me look at the comments here. Yeah, somebody did call me out on it. All right, I'll have to edit that. Somebody might as well screenshot it now while they can. I won't do it now, so go ahead and do your screenshots. Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler. See, I'm just all caught up in Dean Ambrose being back that he was really the focal point here. He was on the outside. He was getting in Drew McIntyre's face every time McIntyre was looking to possibly distract Rollins. Ambrose would show up and give him the mean face. Nelson with a $2 super chat donation. B Team called Tota Bellas Total Fellas. Yeah, I thought that segment was lame, by the way. I think they did that later in the show. Lame joke. And plus, I think there was a meme about it a year ago that I posted on NoDQ.com. So yeah, nothing new. Malik Stevenson with a $5 super chat donation. Thank you for that. What was with all the BS match endings for this pay-per-view? DQs, most of the matches did not end clean, and way too many screwy finishes. I will get to those finishes here shortly. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated, Malik. All right, so back to, by the way, we are at We are at 820 live viewers, so thank you to everyone watching live. If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe, please tell a friend, spread the word, share this video link to somebody. I will be doing a 2-hour live stream August 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. The video will be entitled Call In. People will be able to call in on Skype and send in their questions, comments, and so forth. Just a quick plug for that. Now back to the review. I thought this was a really good match. Really strong opener, and I feel like for these guys, it's almost beneficial to open the show because you're pretty much guaranteed a hot crowd. The crowd is ready for some action, and it seems like lately with these very long WWE pay-per-views that it's really the best spot on the show to be opening the pay-per-view. These guys had a strong match. I thought it was really good. In particular, the big inverted superplex into the inverted Falcon Arrow that Seth Rollins did. That was just impressive as hell and really cool spot to do on pay-per-view. So hats off to Seth Rollins for that, and Ziggler too, because it takes two to tango and pull off those spots. So really cool moment in that match. I thought that was great. And I love seeing innovative stuff like that on pay-per-view, especially on one of the big pay-per-views of the year. Maybe the spot of the night, and maybe this was even the match of the night. Ahmad with a $2 super chat donation. Dean Ambrose heel turn imminent. Time will tell. DJ Whitey with a $5 super chat donation. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? UF'd up, Wow, I just botched that. UF'd up. How about this crowd? They were awesome. This crowd was interesting because they were hot early on, but they cooled off for most of the rest of the show until the very end, and I'll get to that here in a few minutes. Robert Hansen with a $5 super chat donation. Do you like having a universal title, or should the WWE Championship be the only world title? So now we're just getting completely off topic here. I would like there to be one world title, and maybe I'll address that again at the end of this video. I want to stick to the review right now. I need some caffeine, guys. I really do. Otherwise, I'm just going to fall asleep here doing this. This is going to be a long video, like I said. We're only on the first actual pay-per-view match. All right. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, the crowd picked their spots. They only reacted to the matches that they felt like they meant something. And Curtis Butler says the crowd got tired. Malik with another $5 super chat donation. Thank you for that, Malik. Ambrose will turn tomorrow because of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns being champs. Most likely, fingers crossed. So basically, there was no heel turn from Dean Ambrose. And I wasn't really getting my hopes up about it. When I did the predictions video, I'm like, I would love to see the Ambrose heel turn, but I'm not expecting it because WWE just doesn't do the things that make logical sense. Big G said, here's to a good show, got an early morning. And he left a $2 super chat donation. Thank you for that, Jeffrey. I'm not sure if he's talking about, I guess he's talking about my video and not SummerSlam. Maybe he's talking about SummerSlam. Border City Bandit says diet soda equals toxic waste. Well, I could smoke cigarettes, I could do drugs, I could overeat. I like diet soda. It's my one weakness. Robert Hansen with a $2 super chat donation. Seth Rollins is, quote, the man. He is. You know, this is going off topic here a little bit, but I feel like Seth Rollins could end up being the No DQ Superstar of the Year. I feel like he has been consistently having the best matches in WWE during 2018. He just seems to be on a real roll right now. Yeah, AJ's the WWE champion, but I feel like just something with AJ hasn't really resonated with me. Like, he hasn't had that career-defining moment. He's just been the WWE champion, having middle-of-the-card good but not great matches. And Daniel Bryan, I feel like he's been doing really well. He made his big comeback, but there's still something missing. Rollins, I just feel like has been on fire, and I feel like he might pull off a victory this year and be the only person to win the No DQ Male Superstar of the Year award 3 years in a row. Anyways, let me get to these other super chats. Nelson with a $5 super chat donation. Maybe Dean Ambrose is still healing, so they pushed back the heel turn. I like that. I see what you did there. Nice job, Nelson, and thank you. Jesse with a $3 super chat donation. So is Brock done with WWE now? Possibly, but never say never, and I'll talk about that more later. But yeah, we have no heel turn from Dean Ambrose, and what does this mean? Are we going to see a heel turn on Raw? Probably not. My feeling is we're going to see a tag team match. I hate to be Teddy Long here, but it seems like the obvious direction. And actually, a tag team match is being advertised for Hell in a Cell. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins against Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Would not shock me either if Ziggler comes out on Raw. Actually, Rollins comes out, Ziggler interrupts, Ambrose comes out. No, McIntyre comes out third. The two of them beat down Rollins. Ambrose makes the save, and then during the commercial break, we have Kurt Angle make a tag team match, and they just do the tag team match on Raw. Would not shock me if that happens, but I think it makes more sense to save it for the pay-per-view. We'll see what happens. Curtis with a 79-cent, maybe pounds, I'm not sure, super chat donation. Thank you for that, Chris. No comment from him. Gary says Ambrose's return was a waste, just standing around doing nothing. Well, I wasn't expecting a heel turn, but maybe we'll see one at some point. Maybe it's going to be slow burn. Maybe they're going to save it for WrestleMania, and because of that, they're going to take a while. Samir says it was euros, not pounds. All right, thank you for that. Thanks for the correction. Or is it pounds? People are saying now maybe it's pounds. I don't know. Pounds, euros, whatever. Thank you nonetheless for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. So yeah, very good match to kick off the pay-per-view. I was definitely entertained by it. Next up, we had the Bludgeon Brothers defending the tag team titles against the New Day. Strong match. I thought it was pretty good. The finish, I don't get it, really. I would rather just see the New Day lose and Bludgeon Brothers move on to something else. But basically what happened here was New Day, they were on the verge of winning the tag team titles. And that's when we had Eric Rowan show up with his rubber mallet and attack both Xavier and Big E with the mallet, causing the DQ. So this feud, as Howard Finkel says, must continue. Up until the finish, I thought it was good. I'm just not a fan of DQ finishes on major pay-per-views. Have them wrestle on TV, do a DQ finish, and then do the decisive match on pay-per-view. It's a cheap way to keep the feud going. I mean, that's basically what it is. So we're going to have more New Day Bludgeon Brothers, whatever. I mean, the match was good. And if it was the only DQ on the show, if you're going to do a DQ, do one on the entire show. And I'll get to that more later. But this was not the only DQ on the show. Just not a fan of doing multiple DQs. One is enough if you're going to do it at all, if it actually advances the storyline. And I think the other one was actually more appropriate. I'll get to that here in a few minutes. Next match we had Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. SummerSlam, the night of squash matches. And it really sucked to be a Raw heel on this pay-per-view. Just saying. Not much to say about this. Braun Strowman beat the crap out of Kevin Owens. I don't think Owens had any offense whatsoever. There was a spot where Strowman chokeslammed Owens on the steel ramp, and Owens literally bounced on the ramp. And then Strowman brought him back into the ring, hit the power slam, and that was that. Quick work of, at one time, the most dominant heel in WWE, the guy who beat John Cena in his debut match, now doing squash jobs to Braun Strowman. Now, maybe if WWE had something big planned for Strowman at the end of the show, this all would have made total sense. More on that later. Moving on here. Actually, I'm glad we got some short matches, so this review will go a little bit quicker. Next up, we had the triple threat match, Carmella versus Charlotte versus Becky. I thought it was a pretty good match for a women's triple threat. I thought this was one of the better ones that I've seen. I did think it was a good match. I was not really surprised to see Charlotte pick up the win. And basically the storyline here was that Charlotte stole the title from Becky, if you even want to look at it that way. Because originally it was supposed to be Becky Lynch versus Carmella one-on-one. But the way this was done was, first of all, Carmella was trying to cause dissension between Becky and Charlotte. Carmella slapped Becky on the back of the head and then tried to blame it on Charlotte. Eventually, we had Becky on the verge of winning, but then Charlotte came in, hit the natural selection on Becky, and pinned Becky to win the title. So Carmella lost the title without actually taking the fall. Nelson with a $2 Super Chat donation. Do you approve the heel turn? So after the match, and thank you for the Super Chat, after the match we had them hugging, and the crowd booed this. The crowd did not like the hugging. Then we got the big heel turn. Becky Lynch just snapped, beat the crap out of Charlotte, and the crowd was going nuts for this. This did not feel like a heel turn. If anything, it felt like the crowd just turned against Charlotte. Becky went on a rampage. She laid out Charlotte. The crowd was doing the yes chant. When Charlotte was shown crying, the crowd booed. So yeah, it looks like we officially have a heel turn from Becky Lynch. One would think that if you're looking at it from a traditional standpoint, but today, 2018, with the way WWE books and the way fans react, who knows? The way I saw it as the old school guy, it looked to me like a heel turn. But I don't know for sure what to make of it with the way the crowd reacted. And I think the announcers were even trying to justify Becky's actions, saying Charlotte came in and took the thunder. I'm not sure. I wasn't really paying attention. Peter with a $2 Super Chat donation. Great match. Finally, Becky heel turn. And got a $3 Super Chat donation from Mr. JT Blackout. Aaron, you're like the heel version of Sam Roberts. I don't like being compared to Sam Roberts, period. Just don't go there, please. Tony Braden with a $2 Super Chat donation. I feel like Becky's moment will be at Evolution. Maybe, or maybe she just does the job to Charlotte, or maybe she gets DQ'd and then loses the next match, knowing WWE's booking pattern. And then a $5 Super Chat donation from DJ Whitey. The turn was predictable due to her body language, but was entertaining. And then Based Ash Ketchum with a $2 Super Chat donation. Was that even a heel turn? Becky was a sore loser. Yeah, traditionally, it would be seen as a heel turn because Becky was being a poor sport. She lost the triple threat, and then she attacked her best friend and made her best friend cry. Under normal circumstances, that would be defined as a heel turn. But we are in this new age of wrestling where the heels are the faces and the faces are the heels, and WWE just does whatever they want, so who knows? There's shades of gray, and yeah. Chris with a £5 or €5 Super Chat donation. Chances of Roman losing the title tomorrow night on Raw to Braun? Somehow, still up in the UK. Love the show. Keep up the good work. I'll talk about the main event when I get to the main event. Thank you for watching in the UK. I really do appreciate it. And thank you to everyone watching live. Nearly 1,000 people at one point. Maybe we'll get to 1,000 by the end. I got a lot of things to say about the main event. So you definitely want to stay tuned if you can stay up. Maybe you need some of this toxic Diet Pepsi to keep you up all night. All right, moving on here. Next match was the WWE Championship match right here in the middle of the card. AJ Styles, the WWE Champion, defending against Samoa Joe. I thought it was a pretty good match. It was really interesting in the beginning. First of all, the TNA chants. That had to be the loudest TNA chant ever on a WWE show. Maybe the loudest TNA chant ever, considering the fact that you had thousands of people there in Brooklyn. But definitely the loudest WWE chant of TNA. I thought that that was really interesting. Obviously, these guys have their history in TNA, and the fond memories of TNA involve guys like AJ and Joe. So it was nostalgia. It was pretty cool to see these guys finally competing in a WWE ring after all these years. Angle alert, we had AJ's wife, Wendy, and AJ's daughter at ringside. Not even front row, so apparently they weren't special enough. The WWE Champion cannot even get his family front row tickets. How about that? But of course, the Bellas and Maurice got front row. I just thought that was kind of funny, actually. But we had Joe get on the mic and say, Daddy's coming home tonight. AJ got on the mic and said that they showed up because he's going to kick Joe's ass. I figured some kind of angle was going down here. I did not think Joe was going to win the title with the kids, with the wife and kid there at ringside. It was a pretty slow-paced match, but really solidly worked match. I mean, these guys worked very well. They have the chemistry working together over the years. This guy with a $2 Super Chat donation, why the freak do they keep giving the belt to Flair? Because she's Flair. She is a Flair after all. And Tyler Joseph Smith, TJS, with a $2 Super Chat donation, was hoping to see Claire Lynch or Dixie front row. That would have been hilarious. Just a little inside reference if Claire Lynch was just shown there randomly. That would have been hilarious. I would have gotten a good laugh. Like a little Easter egg. WWE should have just flown that actress out, just had her show up there, and not acknowledge her. Just show her there next to Wendy, just for the LOL. Why not? WWE can afford it. It would be cool if we got these little Easter eggs once in a while. Just little nods to the hardcore audience to see if anybody's paying attention. But yeah, back to the match. It was pretty good, but you could tell the crowd was getting a bit restless. They were already starting to get tired and worn out. And then we had the angle here. Instead of a decisive finish, we had Samoa Joe getting on the mic and saying that he would be Wendy's new daddy. He was going to put AJ through the table. AJ just snapped and he dove into Joe. They went through the outside barricade. Styles started attacking the ringside crew. And then he used the steel chair on Samoa Joe, which caused the DQ. Chris 94 with a donation. What's up, Aaron? Your thoughts on AJ breaking JBL's record? I am very happy about that, and I have to give credit to JBL. On the show, he was a good sport about it. I believe Peter Rosenberg mentioned it, and JBL was like, you know what? The better man did it, and I'm very happy for him. So I'll give JBL credit. It was the professional, mature thing to do instead of saying, well, if I was in there, I would have beat him, and he wasn't as good as me. He was just very humble about it. So props to JBL for giving credit where credit's due. And I think JBL called him the modern day Shawn Michaels. So nice to see JBL putting over somebody other than himself. That was cool. Anyways, I thought this DQ was fine because unlike the other DQ, this actually advances the storyline and sets up Hell in a Cell. They've already advertised AJ versus Joe for Hell in a Cell. So that also gave away that maybe some sort of angle would happen here to keep the feud going. But in this case, it makes sense. AJ snaps, things get out of control, and now they got to settle it. Now there's a grudge. So you settle the grudge by putting them inside Hell in a Cell. If only there wasn't a pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell and they just said, we're going to do Hell in a Cell, that would be ideal. But at least this is in the right direction where you're doing an angle that actually makes sense to set up Hell in a Cell. Caleb Jacobs says, where is Christopher Daniels? I believe Daniels was in the UK. I think somebody, maybe a bunch of people, tweeted him saying, where was he for SummerSlam? He was apparently on the other side of the planet. So in this case, I was okay with the DQ. I was hoping they would have like an all-time classic, but you know what? It's the first match of the program. They're going to do Hell in a Cell, so you might as well save the big moments, the big spots for Hell in a Cell. Next up, we had Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, and I think this match was really similar to AJ and Joe in a sense that I think it was really well worked, and these guys had a very solid outing. However, it felt like something was maybe off here. I don't know if it was the crowd. The crowd was getting tired just like they were in the AJ Joe match. They were doing the yes chants and they were getting into the back and forth, but it did feel like the crowd was starting to really get tired out. This match, the basic story here was that they were going back and forth with the same moves. Miz would do the yes kicks. Bryan would counter with the yes kicks. Bryan finally got his big punch to the face in on the Miz, and we would get Miz punching Bryan in the face later, and even later after that. Miz would do Bryan's surfboard stretch, and then Bryan would do his own on Miz to show him how it's done. Lots of back and forth with them doing the same moves on each other. But I like the story of the match. I thought it was pretty well laid out and enjoyable for the most part. Antonio with a $2 super chat donation. Savage line of the night. I'll be your daddy from Samoa Joe. Yeah, that was a pretty good line. And like I said, it's taking the feud to a personal level and makes sense for Hell in a Cell. But back to back to Bryan and The Miz. We had Bryan go for one of the kicks. He missed and he hit the ring post, and Miz put on the figure 4. Bryan reversed it. Good stuff here. Good psychology. I liked it. And then we had Maurice shown at ringside. So again, angle alert. Maurice is sitting there, and yeah, you could kind of see where this was going. Some kind of shenanigans here. Maurice would end up handing, I think it was a pair of brass knuckles or some sort of object to The Miz. Miz would punch Bryan. So again, it goes back to the punch. Bryan wanted to punch Miz in the face, and this match ended with Miz punching Bryan in the face with the brass knuckles or whatever it was to score the victory. And I did say during the predictions, I thought that Miz should be winning this, the first match in the program, to get some heel heat, and that he did. So overall, good stuff. I enjoyed it. Not even sure if I would call it the best match, though. I still think I would go with Rollins and Ziggler, maybe. But this was up there. This was a really good match, and I'm looking forward to the follow-up with these guys. Next up, we had Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. And basically, this was the exact same match as the Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman match, if you even want to call it a match. Nelson with a $2 super chat donation. We should call the pay-per-view Angle Slam. So, Finn Balor came out not as the Fonz, but he actually came out as the Demon. Yes, the Demon is officially back after a year or so hiatus. And I'm not sure if it was Corey Graves. One of them said, why does Balor come out at random times as the Demon? And Michael Cole just said, Balor does it when he's angry and he has something to prove. So I guess Balor wasn't angry enough or having something to prove enough at WrestleMania. But whatever. It is what it is. It did help in the sense that the crowd woke up for this and they were hot for this brief match. Essentially, it was a squash match. Balor beat the crap out of Corbin, and I believe Corbin got 0 offense in this match. And Balor just quickly won, and that was that. Like I said, it really sucked to be the heels of Monday Night Raw on this pay-per-view. Balor and Owens basically squashed in 2-3 minute matches with pretty much no offense. Next up, we had a match that I had actually forgotten about. I thought after Corbin and Balor, okay, we're down to the last 2 matches, and then we had Jeff Hardy come out, and I'm like, oh man, this is a long show. I totally forgot about the match. Nakamura and Jeff Hardy. Nakamura would play mind games with Hardy. Hardy responded back and did Nakamura's taunts, which was pretty funny. Hardy in particular doing come on and doing Nakamura's little DX thing that he does. That was funny. Based Ash Ketchum with a $2 super chat donation. Was that a one shot for Balor as the Demon for SummerSlam? Your guess is as good as mine. I think WWE just randomly does it when they feel like it, and in this case, it made sense because it woke up the crowd. But yeah, it would have made more sense to have done it, at WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year. But whatever. Chris with a $2 super chat donation. I wish they would bring back the special pay-per-view sets. Well, instead of the special pay-per-view sets, now you get the graphics, the 3D graphics on the screen now. So there you go. WWE just using different technology now instead of pyro. I miss the pyro. I'm fine with the generic sets if we could just get pyro at every show. I really do miss the pyro, but it's a different era now. Instead of the old school sets, now it's just the HD screens, and now it's the 3D graphics overlaid onto the screen. Nelson with a $2 super chat donation. He only comes out on SummerSlam. Apparently so. Maybe he just likes being the Demon in Brooklyn. Who knows? Unorthodox Man says, is that a sock on your wall? Hey, it's not just a sock. It's Mr. Socko. And yeah, only WrestleMania gets pyro, or a show in Saudi Arabia where WWE's making $50 million. Anyways, back to Nakamura and Jeff Hardy. Decent match, nothing too special. Really interesting, though, that Jeff Hardy would go for a Swanton Bomb to Nakamura, who was on the apron. Nakamura missed, and Hardy just smacked the apron, which, as they always say, is the hardest part of the ring. I find this particularly interesting because Hardy just did an interview where he said he's trying to tone down his style and not do the Swanton Bomb as much to preserve his body. And then he goes on this pay-per-view and does a friggin' Swanton Bomb, which is fine if you're going to do it on pay-per-view, but he does it onto the apron. And yeah, that was kind of silly. Yeah, Jeff, what were you thinking with that one? But it did play into the finish. Nakamura got Hardy back into the ring, hit the Kinshasa, and picked up the victory. Afterwards, Randy Orton showed up and did nothing. He just came out, and I guess he felt so bad for Jeff Hardy. Is the Viper having compassion now? Randy Orton just turned heel. Jeff Hardy's hurt from that Swanton Bomb in the Kinshasa, and I guess Orton just felt like enough was enough, and he walked out. So the vicious heel Orton showed compassion. I don't get this at all. Why even have Randy Orton show up if he's going to do nothing? Yeah. Did not really care for that. I feel like it was only done just so Randy Orton could have screen time at the pay-per-view and nothing else. Would have been funny if Orton came out and wanted to shake Nakamura's hand. That would have been funny. But yeah. Maybe Orton forgot to take a poop or a piss. Who knows? Andres Morales with a $5 super chat donation. Thank you for that. Is Demon King getting an undefeated streak at SummerSlam like The Undertaker at WrestleMania? Maybe. It could very well end up being the case if Balor stays in WWE long enough. Who knows? This guy with a $2 super chat donation had blood twice on this show. I still hate Flair. I guess you're referring to Charlotte Flair and not Ric Flair. Yeah, AJ, I forgot to mention, AJ Styles had some sort of cut, and I believe there was blood in one of the other matches. I'm forgetting which one off the top of my head. Cat is in the background, so we're getting some ratings here. That's nice. All right, moving on here. Oh, it was Seth Rollins. Thank you for that, guys. Seth Rollins and AJ Styles had a little bit of blood on this show. So there you go. The Attitude Era is back. Next up, we had Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey. Once again, pretty much a squash match. We had Natalya come out wearing the jacket of her late father, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Allegedly, it's the jacket that Neidhart wore at the 1990 SummerSlam, which, of course, is a match that I've always given high praise to. You should absolutely check it out if you haven't seen it. Quite frankly, I think it was better than anything on this show. Possible spoiler alert for my letter grade? Who knows? Maybe I'm just getting old. I just think that was such an awesome match back in the day. To me, that was just good storytelling with a nice feel-good ending where you were just happy. And there wasn't a whole lot of that on this show, in my opinion. Except for this. This was actually the big feel-good moment. Now that I mention it. The Bella twins were at ringside, and I was wondering if we were going to see some sort of screw job, maybe some kind of attack on Rousey to cost her the title. We had Rousey coming out wearing this very interesting Black Swan-like makeup. What did you guys think about the makeup? A lot of people were making fun of it. A lot of people were joking about it. Didn't really bother me that much. Ronda was great in this match, by the way. I thought she was very entertaining. Bliss tried to use all these cheap tactics. She went for a cheap shot. Rousey fought her off. Rousey offered to turn her back. She even closed her eyes. Bliss got in the ring, tried to put on a sleeper hold. Rousey easily broke out of it. Bliss kept trying to do things. Rousey would just easily fight her off. And she just kept getting angrier. Every time Bliss would try something and fail, Rousey just got more and more angry. I thought Rousey was great here. A lot of people were upset about how this played out. Rousey got Bliss in the armbar. Bliss tapped out. So Ronda Rousey is the new Raw Women's Champion. Basically a squash match. Bliss barely had any offense whatsoever here. Nelson says, with a $2 Super Chat donation, that she looked like a female Venom. The question is here, where does Rousey go? Rousey dominated this, and really she should. I said this on the predictions video. Alexa Bliss was never portrayed as a threat to Rousey. And really, the same thing can apply to Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens. Owens was never portrayed as any kind of a threat to Strowman. So realistically, these were the right ways to do these matches. Have Strowman just destroy Owens and Bliss get destroyed by Rousey, because Owens and Bliss have already been ruined by the booking. It's unfortunate, but yeah, WWE already screwed up with them. So you know what? Just do what you do on this pay-per-view. I mean, to me, this was how it should have gone down based off of the build-up. Baystash Ketchum with a $2 Super Chat donation. Ronda will be a way better champion than Brock Lesnar. Time will tell on that, but I'm having this tendency to agree with you on that. Rousey had her big celebration. We had the Bellas and Natalya celebrate with her. So where does Rousey go from here? The problem is that you don't have a lot of big, credible superstars to face Rousey. WWE is already ruining it with Asuka. You could have done Rousey versus Asuka, but WWE has been messing up with Asuka. The one match they have is Charlotte versus Rousey, and I think WWE will save that until WrestleMania. But until then, what do you do? Some people say a heel Natalya. There's been rumors about Nikki Bella, and this was foreshadowing with her appearance. Nikki Bella challenging Ronda Rousey at Evolution. Whatever. I still don't really buy Nikki as a credible threat, although she was the longest reigning women's champion, so she could play up on that. Maybe they could get that match built up and perhaps give Nikki some credibility. Tony Braden with a $2 Super Chat donation. How long does she keep the belt? I think until WrestleMania. I feel it. I feel it's going to be Rousey versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. Champion versus champion. And that's going to be the main event. The final closing match of WrestleMania. I'm on record calling it now. I think that's going to be the main event. Unless somebody gets injured. Maybe we'll see Natalya challenge Ronda Rousey at Evolution. I would rather see that than Nikki Bella. With all due respect to Caitlyn in the chat room, I'd rather see Natalya and Rousey at Evolution. A match out of respect in memory of Jim Neidhart, kind of like Bret Hart versus Chris Benoit in memory of Owen Hart from Nitro. And then after that, maybe you could do a Natalya heel turn. Natalya loses, and then she turns, and they do that maybe at Survivor Series, and they drag that out for a little bit. Then maybe you can do Nikki versus Rousey. Maybe they'll do Nikki versus Rousey first, and then do Natalya. But I feel like, I hate to say it because it's basically making a storyline out of somebody dying for real. I think, you're coming off Jim Neidhart's death, and you could do Ronda Rousey and Natalya, and people would be invested in it as a special tribute match. So we'll see what they do. I would sense it's going to be either Nikki Bella or Natalya facing Rousey at the pay-per-view. I don't think Bliss is getting a rematch unless it's on Raw. Bliss is facing Trish Stratus. WWE already announced it. No TV angle to set it up. They just randomly said, hey, at Evolution, we're going to do Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus. All right, now before we get to the main event, and you guys feel free, we're over 800 live viewers. Feel free to spread the word. Share this link on Facebook real quick so we can reach maximum viewership for this. I'm going to talk about the main event here in just a moment. Once again, I would like to plug Call In, the special 2-hour live stream I'm doing on August 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, NoDQ.com, and the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you're watching for the first time, and check out the other videos. Before I get to the main event, we had the Elias segment, which was really just filler. It was the segment. His guitar broke, and then he just left. So yeah, pretty much a waste of a segment. Can we ban the David guy? Thank you, Caleb Jacobs. All right. It's time for the main event of the evening. Brock Lesnar versus the big dog, Roman Reigns, complete with his new 3D entrance of a black dog with the Roman Reigns Spider-Man-like symbol. This is where Vince McMahon gets all the credit in the world from me. Vince, or whoever came up with the layout and the booking of this match, that person is a complete genius. Interstate Kyle with a $5 super chat donation. How's it going, Kyle? I'd rather see Charlotte versus Trish Stratus at Evolution. Battle of the 7-time women's champions. Well, unfortunately for you, it's Trish Stratus versus Alexa Bliss, so deal with it. So, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. There was this fear that the crowd would just completely crap on the match, hijack it, leave the building, protest, whatever they were going to do. So WWE had to come up with a way to keep the fans invested in the match. And they wanted to have Roman Reigns win the title without a crowd that hijacked the entire match, leaving the building, and all that stuff. Base Dash Ketchum with the $2 super chat donation. The big dog, woof woof, let's go baby. So here's what WWE did. Before the announcements were even finished, Braun Strowman came out with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Braun got on the mic, and I thought that this was great at this point when Braun said, you know what, I won Money in the Bank, but I'm not a coward. I'm not going to cash in on somebody behind their back. That's not how I do business. And I thought this was great. I'm like, they're going to do a triple threat here, and they're going to put the title on Strowman, and Strowman's going to be the guy. I thought this was great. I thought this was perfect. Strowman is going to cash it in face-to-face in a triple threat match and beat both of them up to win the title. I thought this was great. And then he says, I'm going to face the winner of the match. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And this all makes sense in the end here. Even though it was waste of Strowman here. Perfect opportunity to pull the trigger with him. Have him go in there, cash it in on two guys that are fresh and win the title. And you got your guy to be the face of the company. So easy here. So easy. And they blew it because they had to get to the point they wanted to get at for 3 years now. And that's Roman Reigns beating Brock Lesnar to win the championship and end Lesnar's reign of terror. 3 years we had to sit through all this stuff. They could have just done it in 2015. Finally they do it, but in the most screwed up and shady way possible, quite frankly. Braun Strowman was standing out there at ringside. Roman Reigns hit like 3 Superman punches in a row. He hit 3 spears, and then Lesnar just no-sold all that, immediately put him in the guillotine lock. Nelson with a $2 super chat donation. Believe that in Roman's voice. Lesnar had the guillotine on. Reigns broke out of it. Then Roman Reigns went to do another spear, and Lesnar moved. Reigns hit Strowman with the spear on the outside inadvertently. Strowman was knocked down. Lesnar went to the outside, and just for the hell of it, to take out his potential opponent, we had Lesnar F5 Strowman, and then he attacked Strowman with the briefcase and the steel chair. DJ Whitey with a $2 super chat donation. That spear wasn't even convincing. Yuck. And Tony says, with a $2 super chat donation, will Lesnar get his rematch? Don't know about the rematch with Lesnar. He might be done. This might be it for Lesnar. Maybe he'll come back for one more match. Who knows? But yeah, Strowman got laid out. Lesnar went back in the ring and then was immediately hit with the spear. By the way, the crowd was into this. You know, they were chanting, "You both suck," but I think they were just waiting to see Strowman cash in. And because of that, they were more invested than they probably would have been if it was just a straight one-on-one match. Reigns hit the spear immediately when Lesnar got back in the ring, picked up the victory, and Roman Reigns is your new Universal Champion. Where's Strowman? The guy who is superhuman, who got all these ladders dumped on him and still came back, did not make his comeback. Strowman was just done. Reigns won, and WWE got what they wanted. They ended the pay-per-view with Roman Reigns as the Universal Champion, and the crowd stayed invested in the match and the end of the show. So there you go. Vince McMahon, the genius. He played you all, especially you fans in Brooklyn. This was a total bait and switch here, and Vince took out his penis, and everyone took it in the ass. Some of them like it. Some of them say they don't like it, but they really do. And some of them don't like it, but they can't just walk away. It's an abusive relationship where the WWE fans cannot just walk away, and they just stick around and they get it in the ass. That's what happened here. The fans took it in the ass tonight. Vince McMahon outsmarting his audience. Brilliant. Vince truly is a genius. Anyone that says that Vince is out of touch, he proved everybody wrong tonight. Maybe it wasn't Vince. Maybe somebody else came up with that. But I'm sure Vince was very happy with it. So yeah, what a way to end the show. Roman Reigns, the big dog, is the champion. And by the way, who really got over here? Reigns won, but it was due to the distraction. Lesnar was distracted by Strowman, and he could not concentrate. So Reigns did not even beat him cleanly, technically. And did Strowman get over? Strowman got laid out, didn't do anything. So how did that make either guy look good here? Nobody really got over. And this was the problem with the show. There were so many non-decisive finishes that were unsatisfying, that really didn't settle anything. SummerSlam is supposed to be the second biggest show of the year, or third if you want to count the Royal Rumble as number 2. There should be decisive finishes for the most part, up and down. If you want to do one DQ here and there, that's fine. But nothing was really settled with any of this. And I'm not really interested to see what happens next. I don't care. The Raw heel side is extremely weak. Owens got destroyed. Alexa Bliss got destroyed. Baron Corbin got destroyed. Lesnar is apparently going to UFC now. Where are your top heels? Ambrose did not turn. Raw just is completely lacking with heels, and I think it sucks. Hap Kana with a $2 super chat donation, and you will all still buy tickets. Exactly. Vince owned the fans tonight, and they're going to keep spending money. So, who's out of touch, guys? It ain't Vince. Just saying. And Baystash Ketchum says, with a $2 super chat donation, I'm just glad they got the title off of Brock. Well, because WWE hammered it into your head. They conditioned the audience to not like Brock Lesnar. And it worked. That's why Vince is a billionaire. Because he made it work. And if he wants to do something, he's going to figure out how to make it work. And that's exactly what he did. Vince owned the audience. Totally. And I apologize for being graphic, but to me, it's a very worthy analogy of what happened. Malik with a $5 super chat donation. Ambrose should be the one to beat Roman for the Universal title when he turns heel on Roman or Seth. I'd love to see it happen. I wouldn't mind seeing Ambrose turn heel, but I just have this feeling it's not going to happen. I just don't want to get my hopes up, that's all. Alex James with a $2 super chat donation. Did WWE say where SummerSlam is going to be next? It has not been confirmed yet, but the belief is that it's going to be Toronto. That has been the major rumor going around, that Toronto will be hosting SummerSlam next year. Apparently it's not going to be Brooklyn because WrestleMania is going to be in the New York market for WrestleMania. SN1281 says, quote, owning your audience isn't a great way to keep them coming back. Oh, I agree with you. But in WWE's case, they can get away with it. You know, promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, even Impact, they're making some ground. They're trying to build some momentum, but WWE is still the dominant brand. And they're going to keep coming back. Vince can make it work. WCW would swerve and bait and switch, and they swerve themselves right out of business. But WWE knows how to pull it off, and they'll get the audience to forgive them for what they did. I mean, that's just the way it is. Baystash Ketchum left a $2 super chat donation. Laughing my ass off. I never liked Brock, period, though. And Jordan Thomas with a $2 super chat donation. He cashed in officially. We're owed one more match. Actually, I don't think he officially cashed in. He never handed over the briefcase, and Brock threw it to prevent Strowman from cashing in, I guess. Even though we've seen Strowman run really fast before, so he couldn't have gotten up. I guess he was just too beaten up to run over and grab the briefcase before the pay-per-view ended. Or he just didn't make it in time. But yeah, it wasn't actually a cash-in. All right, guys, so now it's time for the letter grade of this SummerSlam event. And Retro says, when did I start video logging? 2004. And I wasn't actually on camera for that, but I started producing videos for NoDQ.com back in 2004 with Jeff Meacham and company. XMV, the old show, for those of you that remember that far back. Just a little off topic there. All right, so letter grade. Hamp Connell says with a $2 super chat donation, why won't WWE take more risks since then? Because they don't have to. They got the Fox deal. And even if WWE turns off a portion of the audience, there's always going to be those diehard fans that will watch and stick around no matter what. You know, like I said, it's an abusive relationship with some of the fans. They want to leave, they want to give up, but they invested so much and they just can't find it in them to leave. And Vince can just keep taking advantage of them. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And Vince has always said he feels he knows better than the audience what they want. And I feel to a degree that's true. It would be nice if another company could, and that's why, you know, you have to root for the smaller guys. You want to see Ring of Honor succeed. You want to see All In succeed because maybe, just maybe one day somebody, it's going to take a lot though. It's impressive as hell that Ring of Honor and New Japan can sell out Madison Square Garden. That is a step, but it's going to take a lot. They are piggybacking off WrestleMania. It's going to take a long time, but maybe one day there can be some real competition for WWE. But until that happens, WWE just has so much money coming in, they can do whatever they want. More and more people might start watching other promotions, but they got the Fox deal now. WWE's making millions and millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia. The brand is just so strong, WWE can get away with it. It's not like WCW. WCW could not afford to get away with all the crap that they pulled. And they went out of business. Anyways, back to the letter grade. So, actually real quick here. This guy with a $2 super chat donation. What match would you change the finish of besides this? I would have had Strowman. There's two things I would have done differently. I would have had Strowman cash in, make it a triple threat, and have Strowman win the title, pinning Brock Lesnar. Then Roman can save face there by not taking the fall. And I would have turned Dean Ambrose heel. Those are the two things I would have definitely done differently. Interstate Kyle with a $2 super chat donation. The B team are the longest reigning Raw champions. How wonderful. Whoop-de-freaking-do. All right, now for the letter grade. I keep trying to get to it. So, very mixed bag. If you took the best 3 hours of SummerSlam and put it together, and that was the show, maybe I'd go with a B. Maybe a B minus. But it was just so long. So many questionable booking decisions, so much indecisiveness with the booking, no real swerves, no real big surprises, the big bait and switch at the end, which was entertaining, but not for the right reasons. Nelson with a $2 super chat donation. What was your match of the night? Probably the opener. Probably Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler, followed by Miz and Daniel Bryan, and then AJ and Samoa Joe. So, I'll give this show, I'm going to give it a C+. Slightly above average, but not much beyond that. C+, few good moments, few good matches, but to me, there was no match of the year candidate, and now that it's over and it's said and done with, I'm really not that interested in tuning into Raw. At the end of the day, there was no big moment where I'm watching this and I'm like, man, I really want to tune into Monday Night Raw. Just wasn't there. So, C+, slightly above average. And seems like a mixed bag from you guys. I'm seeing some fairly high marks here, but a lot of C's and even a few D's here. Not sure how to pronounce the name here. Walid with a $3 super chat donation. Vince always gets the last laugh. Who is Roman Reigns' next opponent? Well, according to the Hell in a Cell advertisement, Kevin Owens. And I even said this on the predictions. I said, Owens will probably job out to Strowman, Reigns will win the title, and then they're still going to do Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens in a Hell in a Cell match, or just do a title match in Hell in a Cell. So I think that's going to happen. Even though he got completely squashed, we're going to see Kevin Owens challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal title at Hell in a Cell. That's the match being advertised. They could change the card, of course. Card's subject to change, but would not shock me at all if that's the match. They do. Baysatch Ketchum with a $2 Super Chat donation. Gargano and Ciampa or Ziggler and Rollins? Ooh. I would probably go with Gargano and Ciampa. I would go with Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole versus Ricochet was the match of the weekend, in my opinion. To me, that was the match that stole the show of both pay-per-views of the weekend. Stole the weekend. And let's see here. Tony Braden with a $2 Super Chat donation. Missed my last Super Chat. LOL. Good night, Aaron. Well, I apologize for that, Tony. So thank you very much, Tony. Extra props for you for the Super Chats. And sorry if I missed one. Cindy with a $2 Super Chat donation. Solid B. So Cindy liked it better than I did. Good night. Work in the AM. Rest in peace, Raw heels. And that I agree with. Rest in peace, Raw heels, for sure. Nelson with a $2 Super Chat donation. Lashley is Big Dog's next time challenger. That would make more sense, rubber match, than Kevin Owens, but I have a bad feeling on Raw. Like I said, we're gonna see Seth Rollins come out to open Raw, but talk about his victory. Ziggler will come out, McIntyre will come out, they'll beat up Rollins, Ambrose will make the save during the commercial. Actually, no, maybe they'll have a rematch first, then we'll have the interference, and then after that commercial, Kurt Angle makes it a tag team match. And then we have Kevin Owens attack Reigns, and they set up a match for Hell in a Cell. That's what I'm having this bad feeling about for Monday Night Raw. I really hope I'm wrong, by the way. Nelson with a $2 Super Chat donation. Lashley is the Big Dog's next time challenger. I think I actually read that twice. So congratulations. Offman Rules with a $5 Super Chat donation. Thank you, Offman. With some of these finishes tonight, I think they were trying too hard to make us tune into Raw and SmackDown. Really? Because I don't want to see Raw or SmackDown. I have no interest in either show at this point. Maybe SmackDown to see the follow-up to AJ and Joe and Bryan and Miz, but certainly not the Raw side, especially with the way the heels were booked on this show. Based Ash Ketchum with a $2 Super Chat donation. Any NXT call-ups from Raw on Raw or SmackDown? Ooh, interesting. I really don't know. And quite frankly, I don't know if this is the time because guys are already lost in the shuffle. I mean, maybe EC3, even though he reportedly suffered a concussion, so that might not even happen. Shayna Baszler, she could very well show up. Nikki Cross, I think that those two are certainly possible. And Word Life, no, WWE's not really trying anymore. They can do whatever they want. Neo Anderson says, I am a moron if I think that. I have no idea what he's talking about. I am a moron, but that's beside the point. And Tic Tac Tat, I like that username, says Shayna versus Ronda. I think if anything happens with Shayna, they're going to set up the Horsewomen versus WWE Horsewomen for Survivor Series. So I don't think we're going to see Shayna versus Ronda quite yet. I'd be surprised if Velveteen Dream or Ricochet jump. Definitely not Ricochet since he just won the title. I don't think Adam Cole is going to the main roster yet. Neo says if you think neither is worth watching. Yes, in that case I am a moron because I don't think Raw is worth watching. SmackDown I think is worth watching, but not really Raw at this point. So if that makes me a moron, then I am Mr. Moron. Maybe Johnny Gargano and Interstate Kyle says pay-per-view of the year. SummerSlam? Hell no. Lars Sullivan, I don't think so, because I think they're doing something with Lars Sullivan and somebody. I think somebody, I forgot who, maybe it was Cassius Ohno or one of those guys. Somebody was teasing that Lars Sullivan was the guy that attacked Aleister Black. Whose super chat did I miss? Apparently I missed somebody's super chat. I'm trying to look back here. Who did I miss? Tom McCarthy with a $2 super chat donation. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 5 is in April. What? Oh yeah, technically you're right. Interesting. Based Ash Ketchum with a $2 super chat donation. Did Samoa Joe shout out Enzo with the how you doing reference? I don't think so. Interstate Kyle, I was asking your opinion on what was the pay-per-view of the year, still sticking to Royal Rumble 2018. Has to be one of the NXTs, either the WrestleMania NXT. Actually, I'm just going to go with the WrestleMania NXT and just play it safe. To me, off the top of my head, that's the one. As far as main roster shows go, yeah, probably the Rumble. I think Rumble so far has been the best main roster pay-per-view of the year. All right, guys, so on that note, I will go ahead and wrap up this edition of No DQ Live. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the feedback, the super chats. You guys were great tonight. I don't know what's happening with Brock. He might come back. He might not. Don't know. TJ, we'll talk about All In later. Thank you all very much. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest post news regarding SummerSlam. And I will see you guys next time.